Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
For the first time, the county is revealing the number of homeless people who have tested positive for COVID-19. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson. To date, the county has logged 1,847 cases. 43 of those are new today. 13 of the total cases are homeless residents. 9 were unsheltered when they contracted the virus. 4 were actually living in shelters. The county also announced that 2 more people have died. That brings our total to the region 47.
Even if you get that negative test, I wouldn't believe it because I've seen it firsthand that it's not true.
A 100-year-old grandmother is now among the San Diegans who have died from coronavirus. Her grandson spoke with our 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena about the issues they discovered with testing during her treatment.
These are pictures from a happier time when Jin Cho and his family were able to celebrate his grandmother's 100th birthday. But a few weeks ago, they received word that she'd tested positive for coronavirus.
The results came back, I believe, that Friday, and as soon as the result came back, she was taken to the hospital immediately.
After about a week, the family began to have hope.
She didn't develop a cough. She didn't develop a fever. And so we're pretty amazed that, she was actually fighting this.
Last Thursday, doctors ordered another test, which came back negative. But a second test the next day was positive.
So we were just, totally devastated. It meant that she had to fight this thing on her own again for a few days and possibly do a retest, past the weekend.
Cho's grandmother was supposed to get another test today, but early this morning, they received word that she'd passed away. An outcome even more heartbreaking because she died alone. Like most COVID-19 patients, she had to be isolated. After all this, he just wants people to be extra cautious of any test results and keep their distance if they think they might be sick.
Even if you get that negative test, I wouldn't believe it because I've seen it firsthand that it's not true.
Lindsay Pena, 10 News.
Federal, state, and local leaders are now planning for the time when we can reopen the economy. However, they warn that we still have a long way to go.
These conversations will be severely negatively impacted in the ability to move forward with or implement if our current positive trends and encouraging news are reversed. We have had success as a region in flattening the curve. We have had success as a region in slowing the transmission of coronavirus. But if that success changes because our posture and our actions in the coming weeks change, then we will significantly set back any efforts and any desires on the part of folks to begin the process of rebuilding.
County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says he spoke with Governor Newsom today to talk about plans for reopening our economy. And as the need grows for San Diego small businesses, so does the support. Today, San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer announced a number of private donors giving more than $300,000 to help those businesses survive.
San Diego grant makers will evaluate unfunded grant applications and administer funds as the resources grow over time. And GoFundMe, an online giving platform founded right here in San Diego, will also amplify this initiative to increase awareness and encourage more giving. We know this is a difficult time, and we know that resources can be extremely limited for many, many people. And this fund allows anyone who wants to make a donation, big or small, to show their support for our local San Diego small businesses.
And the city already contributed $6 million to the Small Business Relief Fund. The deadline for applications for those loans and those grants, it's now been extended to midnight Tuesday. Across the United States, the coronavirus has now claimed more than 23,000 lives. New York, at the epicenter, has seen 10,000 deaths alone. But there is some good news tonight. The number of new hospitalizations from the virus is falling daily. Here's ABC's Romina Puga.
The coronavirus now claiming lives in all 50 states. In hotspot New York, Governor Cuomo announcing more than 10,000 New Yorkers losing their lives to the disease.
The terrible news is as terrible as it gets. This is 671 people who passed away on Easter Sunday.
But some light, the number of hospitalizations are down, less people are being put on ventilators, and fewer are dying.
Those numbers say we can control the spread. Feel good about that. The worst is over. Yeah, if we continue to be smart going forward.
As New York flattens the curve, other parts of the country seeing spikes. Massachusetts' number of confirmed cases soaring by 21%, while Pennsylvania expects a surge after more than 2,800 new cases were reported over the weekend. The challenge now, how the country plans to reopen. President Trump saying he'd like us to be back in business by May, saying Monday he calls the shots.
Well, I have the ultimate authority.
The World Health Organization insisting restrictions must be lifted incrementally. The director of the CDC saying the first step is widespread testing, something that is not yet available.
We're going to need to have that aggressively employed as we begin to reopen and to basically prevent the opportunity for community transmission to come back into the system.
Especially since some cases can be asymptomatic, like ABC's George Stephanopoulos, who tested positive for the virus.
I've never had a fever, never had chills, never had a headache, never had cough, never had shortness of breath. I'm feeling great.
And health officials still researching immunity and whether you can get COVID-19 more than once.
Right now, the information is mixed. We need much more information from recovered patients.
Meantime, two coalitions of states, one on the East Coast, the other on the West, are developing plans to eventually reopen the economy. In Los Angeles, Romina Puga, ABC News.
And Governor Gavin Newsom is part of the coalition here on the West Coast, starting to talk about moving forward.
We have had the deep collaborative spirit advance now in states large and small all across the United States, but none stronger than the relationships we have formed in Washington State and the state of Oregon. We just sent out a joint statement of a shared vision for a process and protocol, a framework, we refer to it, for reopening, not just within our states, but more broadly as a region. I don't want to overstate this vision. I don't want to overstate this framework, and I don't want to understate the imperative of meeting this moment by continuing to practice appropriate social distancing and practicing physical distancing so we can continue to bend the curve. But we are at a point of time where, not dissimilar to the announcement that was made an hour or so ago on the East Coast, that we're beginning to socialize conversations we've been having over the course of many days, in the case of the Oregon and Washington governor, into the beginning of last week, where we began a process of establishing more formally what it would look like and how we could begin the process of the kind of incremental release of the stay-at-home orders that advanced the fundamental principle of keeping people healthy, keeping people safe, using science to guide our decision-making.
And the governor says he will give more details about this plan coming up tomorrow, but urged everyone to continue to practice social distancing. China is now scrambling to contain another outbreak there. It is the biggest rise in cases in 6 weeks. Hundreds of new infections are now being reported in a Chinese city on the Russian border. People there are being ordered to stay indoors, with some exceptions. This comes just days after people were allowed to leave Wuhan, where the original outbreak emerged. As every state deals with the COVID-19 pandemic, several must now also clean up the wreckage after more than 50 tornadoes ripped through the south. That severe weather continued through the Northeast tonight, damaging the homes of several families who were quarantined. Here's ABC's Trevor Ault.
After devastating cities in several southern states,
all that's going on with this virus, this is the last thing we needed.
Relentless storms slammed the Northeast Monday. A New York City family was inside their home when this tree fell.
And it just came crashing to the ceiling. I mean, I was lucky to get out alive.
Several families who'd been quarantined inside now finding their homes damaged, while outdoor coronavirus testing facilities shut down across the region.
The high winds and driving rain made the conditions unsafe for both visitors and health workers to open today.
The damage is far more substantial in the south. More than 50 tornadoes reported in a 24-hour period, including this one near Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, you can see it. It's
ripping stuff up right here. Debris.
Chattanooga, Tennessee, taking a direct hit from an EF3 tornado, packing 145-mile-per-hour winds. And in Monroe, Louisiana, hundreds of homes damaged, forcing out families who'd been trying to practice social distancing.
Normally we would talk about opening shelters. Right now, shelters are the last resort because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Department of Homeland Security now in the process of putting up displaced families in local hotels in hopes of keeping everyone as safe as possible. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
And back here in San Diego, it was another gloomy April day, which is unusual for us. Our Angelica Campos is tracking when that sun will come out again. We could use it, Angelica.
The fact that you say another gloomy day in San Diego, we don't often say those things, and we'll see some improving conditions. Now, the rest of the country, while there was severe weather, it is getting better. And there could be another round for Florida tomorrow, but winter weather is now stretching through the plains, and all of it is going to be moving east. Even Texas now dealing with snow. Talk about big changes for this month. We picked up anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of rain this morning. There's still some clouds left over, but the winds are turning. They will be mostly out of the east-northeast. Those would be Santa Ana-driven winds, and it does bring a warm-up for tomorrow. We'll average in the low 70s in downtown and San Diego, 77 inland communities, with temperatures rising even more by Wednesday. I'll pinpoint how long the warm-up is going to last and when we could see showers again in San Diego. Steve?
Angelica, thank you.